Hi everybody. In this video, we are going to discuss about the post-fertilization events. Post-fertilization events, and under that, the subtopic that we are going to talk about is the structure of seed. Structure of seed. So before we discuss it in depth, we should know some of the very important points regarding the structure of the seed. So here we should remember that seed is the final product of sexual reproduction. Remember, what is the final product of sexual reproduction? It is the seed. Seed is the final product of sexual reproduction. And at the same time, it is often described as the fertilized ovule. It is often described as fertilized ovule. But morphologically, it is also called as what? Ripened ovule. So the ripened ovule is nothing but known as what now? The seed. The ripened ovule is known as the seed. So morphologically, ripened ovule means fertilized ovule is known as seed. Is known as seed. Or in other words, seed is a mature, fertilized, integumented, megasporangium. Megasporangium. It is nothing but what? That is the ovule. Okay, it is the ovule. It is mature, fertilized, integumented megasporangium. Mature, fertilized, integumented megasporangium. What is that megasporangium we are saying? Ovule. So this is called as what? The seed. This is called as the seed. So these are the simple words that we have to keep in mind as we study about the structure of the seed. So here, if you are looking at the dicot seed and monocot seed, we can easily differentiate some of the parts, or most of them are very common parts. As we say that the growth and development of the embryo is same to a certain extent both in the dicot seed and monocot seed. So that's why they will be showing the same points or same parts. So suppose if you are taking now the dicot seed, okay, if you are taking the dicot seed, we say that it is having how many cotyledons? 2 cotyledons. So here is the dicot seed. This is the dicot seed we are saying. So a dicot seed will have the 2 cotyledons. These cotyledons along with what we say it as embryo. That embryo will be showing the future shoot and future the root, or shoot system and root system will be formed from the embryo. Or otherwise we say it as what? Epicotyle and hypocotyle. What is this epicotyle? Which will be giving rise to the plumule or stem tip. It is this showing here in this diagram. You can see that there are leaves showing the leaves or the shoot tip. This is the shoot tip we are saying, that which is nothing but called as what? Epicotyle. It is part of embryo. And here hypocotyle. Hypocotyle means below. Hypo. Okay. So here, as we see this term itself, okay, hypocotyle, it talks about the root system, radicle. Okay, it is talking about the radicle. So here, epicotyle is nothing but giving rise to what? The plumule. It is, regarding in simple, we can say that it is the shoot system. It is the shoot system, we can say. Hypocotyle will be giving rise to what? Radicle. Okay, radicle, that is nothing but what? It is about the root system. Okay, it is giving rise to the root system. So here we are seeing very clearly even the cotyledons. How these cotyledons are formed? It is from the absorbed food from the endosperm. Please remember that. Okay, it is from the absorbed food from the endosperm. What are formed? Cotyledons are formed. And overall, this seed is completely enclosed in what now? The seed coat. It is completely enclosed in the seed coat. What is this seed coat means? We will be looking just after this. What is this seed coat? It is nothing but formed from the integuments. Of the ovule. As we are proceeding on, we will be talking about this even very clearly about the seed coat. So here, this is about the dicot seed. In the same way, if you look at the monocot seed, it is almost the same. Here if you see the scutellum. What is this scutellum? It is nothing but the cotyledon. So we know that in a monocot seed, In a monocot seed, how many cotyledons will be there? There will be single cotyledon, and that we are calling it as what? Scutellum, especially in the grasses. Especially in the grasses. So scutellum we are calling. So that is nothing but single cotyledon. And here we are seeing, as we have said, that coleoptile and coleorhiza, which are enclosing the plumule and radicle. Plumule and radicle. This plumule is giving rise to what we said. It is giving rise to the shoot system. It is giving rise to the shoot system, and the radicle will be giving rise to what? It will be giving rise to the root system. Root system. And if you are seeing here, they are enclosed. Okay, they are enclosed by a foliar, halo foliar structure called as coleoptile. Plumule is enclosed by a halo foliar structure called as coleoptile. Halo foliar structure called as coleoptile. Whereas the radicle is also enclosed by an undifferentiated sheath called as what? Coleorhiza. Coleorhiza. So here we are seeing, and here we can see that there is the endosperm. There is some amount of endosperm that is present. That is present. In some cases we will be seeing this. So this is about the dicot seed and monocot seed. This is about the dicot seed and the monocot seed. But here we should remember all these structures that are present inside the seed coat, within the seed coat, or let us say like this, all the parts of the seed which are enclosed by the seed coat will be called as kernel. Please remember this word, will be called as kernel. Okay, this is a term that is given for all the parts that are enclosed by the seed coat. By the seed coat, it is called as what? Kernel. So what are those parts that are enclosed now in a seed? The first part we are saying, as we said here, the seed coat. Okay, here is the seed coat. It is the first part. Okay, and then the next, what we will be seeing? We will be seeing an embryo inside the seed. Okay, inside the seed we are seeing an embryo. And at the same time, we will see the endosperm. We will be seeing the endosperm, which will be, please check this. This endosperm will be absorbed and it will be changed into what? Cotyledons. It will be changed into cotyledons. So in NCERT textbook, it will be given as cotyledons. But if you are seeing some other references, they may be giving it as endosperm. So you should not get confused. It just says that the endosperm is absorbed as the embryo is growing, and it forms as what? Cotyledons. It forms as cotyledons. But according to the NCERT textbook, we can say that seed coat, embryo, and what are there? Cotyledons that are there. So all these parts that are enclosed by this seed coat, we are calling it as what? Kernel. We are calling it as the kernel. So we will see the main thing that we have to look at here is that we studied about the embryo. We studied about the embryo. Now we will see what is this endosperm. What is this endosperm? And this part of this chapter regarding the endosperm is very, very important. So we will go through it very carefully now. We will go through it very carefully. So here, a mature seed. Okay, a mature seed consists of what parts? If you are looking at the mature seed, okay, if you are looking at the mature seed, it has three important parts we say. The first part is the seed coat. Okay, the first part is the seed coat, and the second part is the embryo. Okay, the second part is the embryo, and the third part is the endosperm. Okay, third part is the endosperm. As I said, that endosperm, when it is absorbed, it will be forming as what? The cotyledons. It will be forming as the cotyledons. So here there are three important parts we said: seed coat, embryo, and endosperm. All these togetherly, which are present in the mature seed, will also collectively called as what? Kernel. We said kernel. We said. Now, among these endosperm, we are going to discuss about very clearly about the endosperm. Now, if you are looking at the endosperm, okay, if you are looking at the endosperm, here we already studied that endosperm is a nutritive tissue. Endosperm is a nutritive tissue. Okay, endosperm is a nutritive tissue that is present in the seeds. But please remember, this endosperm may or may not be present in the seeds. That's very important. This endosperm may or may not be present. May or may not be present in the seeds. Okay? May or may not be present in the seeds. Means it may be present or it may be absent. So based on that, here in angiospermic seeds, based on the presence and absence of the endosperm. Okay, in angiospermic seeds, based on what? Based on presence or absence of endosperm. Now the seeds are grouped into two types or classified into two types. The seeds are classified into two types based upon the presence or absence of what? The endosperm. Which means now it is very clearly understood that some seeds will be having what? The endosperm, and some seeds they may not be having the endosperm. So based on that, we will be saying that there are two different types of seeds, okay, based on the presence and absence of endosperm. So what are those? The first one, based on the presence or absence of the endosperm, we can say that there are two types. The first one we can say that as non-endospermic seeds. Non-endospermic seeds. Okay, non-endospermic they will be called, or otherwise they are called as what? X-albuminous seeds. X-albuminous seeds. X-albuminous seeds. Okay, X-albuminous seeds. X-albuminous seeds. Or otherwise there is another one called as what? Non-albuminous seeds. Non-albuminous seeds. All these indicates what now? That the seeds do not contain the endosperm. Endosperm means what? We are using these terms for a seed when the seed is not containing the endosperm. In the same way, some seeds may contain or will be containing what? The endosperm. Will be containing the endosperm. Such seeds which are containing the endosperm will be called as what? The endospermic seeds. Okay, endospermic seeds. Okay, endospermic seeds we call them as. Or otherwise what we call them as? We call them as albuminous seeds. We call them as albuminous seeds. Albuminous seeds. So you have to remember that most of the times, okay, in any entrance exam you will be coming across these questions regarding based upon the albuminous and non-albuminous seeds. Based upon the albuminous and non-albuminous seeds. So here what we said, there may be endosperm or may not be the presence of endosperm in the seeds. If the endosperm is present, which is what? Nutritive tissue, we are calling them as what? Endosperm seeds or albuminous seeds. If the endosperm is absent, we are calling them as non-endospermic, X-albuminous or non-albuminous seeds we are calling them as. So we will see now non-endospermic or X-albuminous seed or non-albuminous seed. Non-endospermic seed, X-albuminous seed or non-albuminous seed. What does it mean? That they do not have what? The endosperm. They do not have the endosperm. So here, in these types of seeds, endosperm is completely consumed by the developing embryo. So the endosperm is completely consumed by what? The developing embryo. Embryo will be completely absorbing this endosperm. Already we said what is endosperm? It is a nutritive tissue rich in food material. What could be that food material? Means that rich in present in endosperm means, please remember, we can say that it is the starch. Okay, it is the starch. Remember that endosperm is rich in starch. So all that endosperm is completely consumed by the developing embryo. So once it is completely consumed, what does it mean? There is no endosperm. So when there is no endosperm in a seed, we are calling it as what? Non-endospermic or X-albuminous seed. or non-albuminous seeds we are calling. So now endosperm is completely consumed by the embryo. Then where this embryo is storing that nutritive material? Now that is being absorbed as the food material, which is now stored in the cotyledons. So in simple we can say that when the embryo completely consumes this endosperm, it is again storing this nutritive or food material in the form of what? Cotyledons. It is storing the food material in the form of cotyledons. What is storing? Embryo is storing. How the embryo is getting that food material? It is from the endosperm. So there is no more endosperm, but it is now absorbed by the embryo, and embryo is storing that food material in the form of cotyledons. That's why in this case, the cotyledons will become large and fleshy. The cotyledons will become large and fleshy. Why they are large and fleshy now? Because they are rich in what? The food material. So that's why the cotyledons are very large and fleshy. But in the other point, we will be seeing that because the endosperm will be present, the cotyledons will not be large and fleshy. They will be thin. But here what we have to remember is that cotyledons are large and fleshy. It indicates that they are rich in food material. And the best examples that you have to keep in mind, both in dicot seeds and monocot seeds. So there are seeds both in dicots and monocots showing what? The non-endospermic or ex-albuminous or non-albuminous seeds. They are there in dicot seeds and also in monocot seeds. What are the best examples of dicot seeds which are non-endospermic dicot seeds? They are gram, beans, peas, tamarind, cucumber and groundnut. Groundnut we call it as what? Commonly peanut. Okay, peanuts. So all these are dicot seeds. All these are what? Dicot seeds. And they are called as now what? Non-albuminous seeds. Which means there is no endosperm present in these. But their cotyledons will be very large and fleshy. Their cotyledons are large and fleshy. Those are dicot seeds which are not having the endosperm. In the same way, even in the monocot seeds also there are which are called as what? Non-albuminous seeds or non-endospermic seeds or ex-albuminous seeds we are calling them as. Here if you are seeing non-endospermic monocot seeds, orchids, pothos means common name is what? Money plant. Okay, money plant we are calling it as pothos. Vallisneria, you studied about this. It is an aquatic plant, you say. Alisma and Amorphophallus. This also you studied. Okay, bearing the biggest flower. So all these are some of those monocot seeds which are not having the endosperm. So you have to be very careful with the examples and keep them in your mind for objective purpose. So now we will discuss about the next one called as endospermic or albuminous seeds. So as this term itself tells here that there will be the presence of what? Endosperm. So here in the mature seed, the seeds may not be completely consuming the endosperm. They do not consume all the endosperm. They may be consuming, but they will not consume all the endosperm. So there will be some endosperm that will be there present. The growing embryo will not consume the complete endosperm. There will be the presence of endosperm present. So that's why only we are calling them as endospermic seeds. Here endosperm will be utilized during the germination of the seed. During the germination of the seed, the endosperm will be used. But in the previous one what we said, during the developing of embryo, the endosperm will be used. But here, during the germination of the seed, the endosperm will be utilized. And because there is a presence of endosperm, that's why the cotyledons will not be thick or leafy and fleshy. The cotyledons will be thin and membranous. They are thin and membranous because the cotyledons are not completely filled with the nutrients or food material that is absorbed from what? Endosperm. No, isn't it? They are not having the full nutritive material that is absorbed from the endosperm. That's why cotyledons will be thin and membranous. They are thin and just like a thin membrane, they will be present, the cotyledons. It's all because of what? Endosperm is not completely absorbed. In the previous one we said when the endosperm is completely absorbed, it is now stored in the cotyledons for the developing plant or the embryo, which will be growing into a future plant, we said. But here the cotyledons are not containing complete endosperm. That's why they are thin and membranous. So all that there is persistence of the endosperm present here. So some of the best examples which we can see here showing the presence of endosperm, okay, in dicot seeds. There are dicot seeds which will be showing the presence of endosperm. Like what? Very important one is the castor. Castor will be showing the presence of endosperm. Papaya, cotton and sunflower. All these are showing what? They are showing the endosperm. They are showing the endosperm. And in the monocot seeds, there are some endospermic monocot seeds. There are some endospermic monocot seeds. There are monocot seeds which are also containing the endosperm. Like what? Maize, rice, wheat, coconut and barley. Maize, rice, wheat, coconut and barley. All these are monocot seeds which are showing the presence of what? The endosperm. So in these cases, the cotyledons will be how? The cotyledons will be thin and membranous. Thin and membranous. But here, very important thing that we have to keep in mind. We have studied that here in these two conditions, we studied that endosperm is the nutritive tissue that is being carried out or absorbed into the formation of cotyledons, which are also containing the nutritive material. But in this case, again we said they are not absorbed completely. But apart from these, apart from the endosperm, there may be the persistence or there may be remnants of some nucellus material present in the seed. Again, what is this nucellus? Let us see what is this nucellus that is present in the seed. Nucellus present in the seed, which is very important. So the next one is which is very important and you have to make note of this is the perisperm. Okay, perisperm. Here when we talk about the perisperm, okay, when we talk about the perisperm, you should not get confused with the endosperm. You should not get confused with the endosperm. See here, what is this perisperm? So I am just going back what we discussed previously. We have studied again the same diagram, the ovule. Okay, we studied about the ovule. So here is the ovule we say, and this ovule, okay, is having or initially this complete structure of the ovule is made up of cells called as nucellus. Cells called as nucellus. So here, follow me carefully now. The nucellus cells are there which are used in formation of this complete structure. What is the structure we say? It is the ovule. Okay, it is the ovule. Now, nucellus, when we say nucellus, okay, when we say nucellus, these nucellus cells are also rich in what? Food material. Are also rich in food material. It is from these nucellus cells, what is absorbed is the food material is absorbed, which is used or stored in the endosperm. Follow me carefully. Which is stored in the endosperm now. So from we said endosperm is what? It is a nutritive tissue we said. Then how this endosperm is getting the food? Direct point is that it is from the plant. But how? What are those cells from which the endosperm is absorbing the nourishment for the developing embryo to provide for the developing embryo? The endosperm is absorbing the nourishment from the nucellus cells of the ovule. Now nucellus which is containing so much of food material, is absorbed by the endosperm, and as the endosperm absorbs this, what happens to this now? It gets diminished, degenerates, disappears. The nucellus cells will be disappearing. And now what we said just regarding with the albuminous seeds, the endosperm will be now absorbed, and in some cases what we said, it is used in formation of what? Cotyledons. And these cotyledons are also rich in what? Food material. So here, remember and follow it carefully. Cotyledons, endosperm or nucellus cells are rich in what? Raw food material. So cotyledons are absorbing the food from what? Endosperm. How the endosperm got the food? It is from the nucellus cells. So nucellus is used as food material and absorbed. Nucellus is rich in food material is absorbed by the endosperm, and endosperm which is rich in food material is absorbed by the cotyledons. So here, in most of the cases, what we say that nucellus completely disappears. Nucellus completely disappears. But in some cases, there will be the persistence of nucellus, remnants, leftover parts. There will be remnants of nucellus that will be present even after formation of the seed. Even after the formation of the seed, you will be seeing the nucellus cells. So when the nucellus is left over, even after complete formation of the seed, we call it as what? Perisperm. We call it as perisperm. So when a seed is showing the perisperm, remnants, okay, remnants means little part of that nucellus is still remaining in the seed. Such seeds are called as perisperm seeds. Such seeds are called as what? Perisperm seeds. So what do you mean by now the perisperm seeds? What do you mean by the perisperm seeds or perispermic condition? It means that in these seeds there will be remnants of what? Remnants of nucellus. Remnants of nucellus will be there. Here and there will be the nucellus present in these seeds. And then we call those seeds as what? Perisperm seeds. Let us make it very simple that in some seeds, the nucellus is not completely consumed. There will be the presence of nucellus present in the seeds. Such seeds are called as what? Perispermic seeds. And this condition is called as perisperm. Okay, this condition is called as perisperm. The best examples that we look at when we are talking about the perisperm seeds is black pepper. Okay, black pepper, which we call it as Piper nigrum, and the second example is beet. Okay, second example is beet. Second example is the beet. So these two are the best examples that you have to keep in mind when we talk about the perisperm seeds. So what are perisperm seeds? It means there will be some amount of nucellus that will be present in the seeds. So that condition, when they are showing, we call them as perisperm seeds. Now in completing this, let us see what are the changes that are taking place right after the post-fertilization in the ovule. Right after the post-fertilization, okay, what are the changes that we will be seeing in the ovule, we will see now. So in the next video, we are going to discuss about the changes that will be taking place right after the post-fertilization. Post-fertilization changes. Post-fertilization changes. What are these post-fertilization changes? Right after the fertilization, okay, right after the fertilization, what is happening to the ovule? What is happening to the ovule we are going to discuss in the next video. But before that, you have to know and understand the ovule. Again the ovule. See here, we know that again the same thing here. If there is the ovule, in the next class we are going to discuss about how this ovule or parts of the ovule, how they are changing into. Because what we said now, seed is formed. It is nothing but it is from the ovule only. The whole complete ovule will be changing into what now? The seed. And where is the ovule present? It is present in the ovary. If this is the ovary, okay, if this is the ovary, here it is that this structure that is present here like this. Okay, it is this structure present here like this. So what is this now? It is the ovule. So in an enlarged view we are seeing this as the ovule, and we know the parts of the ovule where we will be seeing, okay, we will be seeing the embryo sac at the center, having the egg, okay, having the egg means fertilized egg. And what is happening to the integuments? What is happening to the ovule? What is happening to the ovary? We are going to see all those changes in the next class, and we have to keep this, okay, diagram in our mind when we talk about the post fertilization changes that will be taking place in the ovule and in the ovary, and also in the ovary. What is, how this micropyle is present on the seed, what is happening to the funicle, all that we are going to see in the next video. Thank you so much.